Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. My name is Anna McNaught, and we are back for day 2 with Bekka Björke. Bekka, welcome. How's it going today?
Good morning, good morning. I'm up and at 'em and excited. How are you?
Good, good. Yeah, my day is halfway through here on the East Coast. I know it's just getting started for you over on the West Coast. So we're going to have a great stream today, though. If any of you missed the stream from yesterday, you can always catch that replay on Behance or YouTube. And we did some incredible compositing yesterday. Let me just tell you, Bekka is a absolute master at what she does. So
Thank you.
yeah, of course. I learned a lot yesterday. I hope you all did as well. And today, welcome everyone into the chat. Welcome everyone on Behance or YouTube, wherever you are watching from. Nice to have you here with us. Just want to quickly remind you, if you missed any of our previous streams, you can always watch the replay on Behance or YouTube. They're always available for you. And be sure to check out Brush Hour with Adobe evangelist Kyle Webster. This week, Kyle covered how to paint hair in Photoshop and Fresco. As I mentioned yesterday, always such a good thing to learn and good to brush up on those skills, pun intended. Don't miss our Adobe Express streams right before this stream. You can tune in and learn how to implement this easy to use app in your workflow. But today we have some more great fantasy compositing in store for you all. And I know we're going to be working on some character design. Is that right, Bekka?
That's right.
Oh, so excited. Yeah, so I'll just kick it over to you to give a little intro of yourself.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Good morning from the foggy, rainy state of Washington. My name is Bekka Björke. I'm a digital artist and ex-photographer, which a lot of people still know me as. But I have a deep love for all things fantasy and fairy tale and history and just art in general. And I want to chase that in my art. Like, that's what I want to bring out into the world. And so that really started with photography for me. And it's evolved into a kind of like deep, never-ending pit of exploring different kinds of digital art. So I work a lot in Photoshop, a lot in 3D, and I like to mix the two and see what we can come up with. So we're going to look at something kind of like this today. We're going to look at some creatures and why they look the way they look and how to do that using a bunch of different media. So I'm pretty stoked.
I am so excited. I went down a long, dark, but exciting path yesterday of looking at different types of artwork after we talked, and I was in a deep hole on all these different websites, and you inspired me so much to look at things in a new way. So I'm super appreciative to you.
Great success. I can retire happy now.
Yes.
Well, let's take a look at Photoshop, shall we?
Sounds good.
So we're going to start here, and today's going to go a little different than yesterday. I'm going to kind of just improv, and I'm happy to hear any input from you, Anna, or anyone out there watching and judging and seeing how things go about how this is going to develop, because I feel like that creative process is really what it's all about. Like, it's not about the Photoshop technique. I really care a lot more about how we're going to solve the problem that is creating this particular character. And let's go ahead and look at this.
Can I just
ugly.
ask you real quick, are you going to be putting this character in what you made yesterday?
Yes, so we are, if we have time, we'll get there. So on this board here, because I want to kind of follow that same story. So this is the polished up final from yesterday. I added some more trees. I fixed my water problem. You guys watched me stumble over. And so I wanted to kind of tear apart this idea and the story of the frog prince, right? Where this princess in the castle, she loses her golden ball, and it gets retrieved by this frog, and the frog, asks her, like, I'll return your ball if you give me a kiss, and then he turns into a prince and they live happily ever after. And I kind of hate that. I don't like when men are the hero of the story and force women to do stuff. Like, you can see in a lot of my portfolio, I have a lot of like really like strong warrior women. Like, I love that. So I wanted to kind of see what we could do with this sort of frog princess idea. So I've got some frogs here that we're going to look at. And I also looked at, since it was the original story is from Grimm's Fairy Tales and they were from Germany, we pulled some of that German castle inspiration into this frog castle here yesterday. And then I was looking at kind of Iron Age costume and what kind of elements were going on there, and see if we can bring that into this final character. And I loved this picture of Brunhilde, who is more Scandinavian than German, but still just loved everything going on in this painting. I thought it was super cool. So that's where we are starting today. And let's do some stuff. Cool. So this is a 3D model. I want to emphasize though, you do not need 3D to make cool characters in Photoshop. This could literally be a photograph. You can take a selfie of yourself on your cell phone, like that is totally fine. I just started with 3D like because it's more convenient than setting up a photo shoot to get what I wanted out of this. So that's where we are going to start, and it's real-ish. It's not perfectly photoreal. I'm not sure how I feel about this hair. We'll see as we get going, but you know, it's a good base. But I think starting with an actual portrait, like an actual photograph, can add even more depth to kind of compositing over a face and over a body. So don't feel intimidated or like you need to use 3D. It's just the tool that I have in my tool belt. So we're gonna kind of get started here by duplicating this background layer. And this is a PNG also. So if you were to start with a photo, I'd recommend cutting it out. And we're gonna go and start on the face. And then we're gonna build our way out from there. So I'm gonna start with Liquify. And I feel like Liquify kind of gets a bad rap a little bit. I feel like it gets abused badly.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what happens. I'm gonna abuse it, but with intent.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see this because I think many times we don't tend to think of using Liquify in an art form. We think of it as like distorting our faces and bodies to look prettier or something. And so this is cool.
We're gonna do the same thing, just, you know, not to look prettier, to look probably more disturbing. So based on like all the millions of pictures of frogs I've looked at in the last day, they don't really have like a defined nose. Like the face kind of pulls outward here. So we're going to try to mimic that shape a little bit. And then we are going to go in and paint over some of this too. So not too worried about distortion here. And I'm just using, I don't know actually what the name of it is, just the forward warp tool. Just kind of like the basic Liquify thing. And actually, you know what I didn't do? I didn't turn it into a smart object first, but I'll live.
So do you have anything kind of in mind and like a way that you work when you're starting to liquify of, I mean, you've done this enough to know what your end goal is, but maybe for someone who's just getting started with making characters like this, what do you recommend?
I mean, I definitely want to start with the reference. Like that is going to kind of shape everything. Like I can kind of see it in my head. Eyes I tend to go for first because there's such like this focal and connecting point when you look at a portrait or a picture of, you know, anything that has a face, right? Our eyes, you know, the human eye is going to go straight to the eyes on a character. And so that tends to be kind of where I gravitate to first. You see this in creature design too, like in a lot of like monster movies and horror movies. Like if something doesn't have eyes for you to look into, it's instantly a lot scarier. So just kind of leaning into that a little bit. And I saw in the comments someone was asking if this is from Daz 3D. Yes, it is. Which also another tool that I think gets a bad rap, but is very useful. I want to kind of broaden out this space here. And I wanted to start with a pretty, like, very human looking model here. You know, so when I'm working on stuff, you know, for myself, you know, not on a live stream, like sometimes I'll go and I'll do more actual sculpting or like shaping to the 3D model if I'm using a 3D base. But I'd rather like keep it pretty human today because I don't want anyone, again, to feel like they're limited by their tools. So I'm swapping over to the freeze mask tool, and this is gonna kind of mask stuff off so I'm not warping over it.
Oh, cool. I didn't even know about that.
It is nifty, so I could go all the way over here and it won't touch it, but we're not gonna do that.
That would be helpful for Kim Kardashian's next Photoshop project.
It is so fascinating to look at. Like, sometimes I like look at pictures of celebrities or like ads and stuff, and I just wonder if there's like retouchers or artists out there who like have to follow these bizarre instructions even though it hurts them.
I'm sure.
I
love when you can see it. Oh, really?
Yeah, it hurt, but I needed money. So, you know, yes, I'll make you look 30 years younger and say that's what you look like. This is fine.
I know there's so many things like that.
Oh, we're looking pretty weird here. So with some of the facial structure stuff too, over here, I don't remember how many updates ago, I feel like it was kind of recent that Photoshop introduced these kind of smart warp tools. Sometimes I use them, sometimes I don't. Kind of depends. At an angle like this, it can get a little confused. Let's see.
Couple questions for you
Yeah.
from the chat. Sam asked, do you do much 3D modeling or primarily use pre-made assets?
I love pre-made assets. I have no shame, and that's fine. I will go in and like I'll often like do additional sculpting or texture work on stuff. And if I need something very specific, then I'll go and model something myself. But that isn't really like, I don't consider myself like a 3D generalist, really, like even if I have certain skills, because that's not really the kind of art that I'm putting out there. It's more just to use for the most part in eventual 2D art, if that makes sense. So I consider it kind of like using stock that you have more control over.
Cool. And then Becca asks, can you use DAZ 3D for commercial projects?
Yes, you can.
Cool.
And I do that often, even just as a base. And you'll see even like artists at like really huge studios like Marvel and stuff will do the same thing, because you know you could go and model your own actual human body and spend many hours doing that, or you can just pop it out of DAZ.
Yeah.
And then go change it up.
And right, can you get one from there and put it right into Photoshop, or does it have to go into a 3D program first?
So it is a 3D software. So you have to go and you deal with the software itself, and then you can render out a 2D image. Gotcha. So that's how this was done. So I think we're gonna stay here. I think I kind of pulled her eyebrows up a little. This is the one thing I love Liquify for too, is just handling expression. Because you can make these very tiny subtle changes to the face easily. All right, definitely looking pretty weird. All right, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna make a blank layer. And I'm gonna clip it down just to be safe. And we're gonna change this to lighten. Grab our clone stamp. Bring the flow way down here. I just want to kind of start reshaping this area of the nose.
Bryce asked what your favorite 3D program is.
That depends. That depends. I'm definitely a member of the cult of the default cube and love Blender a lot. I've been slowly getting more into Unreal Engine, which it's a lot, and I'm mostly interested in it from a filmmaking perspective. But I'm still definitely in that learning process. So I wouldn't say like it's my favorite, but I want it to be my favorite. I want Unreal and I to be best friends.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty difficult, but looks like you can do so much in there.
Yeah, and it's so impressive. Like, what is that? one thing I want to like go blow all my money on is to build like a at-home virtual production studio. And so I can shoot using a VR setup directly into Unreal. So we'll get there eventually.
That's
Baby
so
steps.
cool. That's so over my head and so awesome.
You know what? Let's turn this back to normal. The lighting is not working for me. So basically all I want to do here is just like really get rid of these hard shadows. So it feels a lot more flat. See Daryl in the comments mentioning the donut tutorial for Blender, which is
yeah,
almost like
so
a meme at this point.
I know, it really is. It's, yeah, that guy is awesome.
He is awesome. I would shout out also a CG Fast Track on YouTube. That was like the first like real Blender tutorial that I did. I know I mentioned yesterday, like I kind of had this like crazy neurotic, like stay up for way too long and learn Blender thing. And that was following the CG Fast Track tutorials. And they're really, really effective for environment versus like the donut, which kind of starts in understanding like the basics of 3D objects and, you know, building materials and stuff like that. This just throws you right into like, let's build a world. And it does it very well.
That is cool. That's kind of what I want to learn is the world. And I skipped over the donut, even though I'm familiar with it. I was like, no, I want to make worlds, not food.
I feel you. I have the same problem. That's all I want to do.
All right, you said CJ Fast Track. I have to
CG Fast Track.
CG Fast Track.
CG, okay. Like computer graphics.
Got it.
I think I almost want to pull that out a little bit more. I'm gonna turn that background layer off, make a copy of all that, and we're just gonna go back into Liquify and just kind of go through this process again. Kind of giving me Avatar vibes right now, which I don't really.
Yeah, she definitely is. Marcy asked about Adobe Aero and asked if that's 3D also. Isn't that more like VR?
That I don't know. I have not used.
I've used it a little, but not too much. So yeah, let us know in the chat if anybody knows a lot about Adobe Aero.
Yeah, it's kind of bummed that some of the 3D tools in Photoshop are being discontinued. Like one thing I kind of wanted to touch on today was using a normal map to build lighting, which is a way of, it's like a 3D way of controlling your light in your surface. And you can actually do it through Photoshop, but it like isn't working well with the latest everything. And it gave me like an error that says, you know, this is being discontinued. And I was pretty sad about it.
Sad. I wonder if it's going to move over to Surface.
Maybe. You've got the secret Adobe hookups. So you're aligned directly into all the secret information. All right.
Okay, so for anyone wondering, Sam says Adobe Aero is an augmented reality authoring and publishing tool by Adobe on Creative Cloud. Aero is available for iOS, although there's versions for Mac and Windows in beta.
Awesome. We don't
Thank
need
you,
real
Sam.
reality. Augmented reality is fine. I will say, so I played with the, is it Substance Builder the new like modeling sculpting program that Adobe has out in beta right now, and it was pretty slick.
Oh yeah.
I was pretty happy with playing with that. Okay, so I think we're kind of flattened out for the most part here. Cool. All right, and the last thing I think I want to liquify in here really, and this is just gonna be kind of like a guide, so it's gonna look super weird and ugly. I'm thinking of frog legs. It's almost like they have too many joints, like it looks weird in comparison to a human leg. And I'm using the wrong tool. So I just want to stretch her feet out as we eventually give her frog feet. So we're just doing this super weird looking, but just to keep kind of an idea of where those will need to be later. Terrible, completely ugly, but serves the purpose. Cool. All right. So there is our base. And again, with wanting to kind of focus on the eyes, let's give her some eyes. So if we look back at our frogs, they have these like really gigantic pupils. I don't know if I want to go totally monster with a slit pupil, but like really, really, really big pupils. Dark irises. So just gonna have a curves layer. I'm gonna just kind of darken this. I don't want it totally black because we are going to paint over it a little bit, but dark. And if we're using curves, then we can go in and easily kind of adjust that. I'm going to hide that real quick. Body. Before I get lost and forget where I am. All right. So I'm going to do a quick channel selection here just to pull out the catch lights in the eye so we can save that just so our light stays accurate. So I want to look for probably the channel here, either the red, the green, or the blue with the most contrast in that catch light right there. And I think the green might be the winner. So I'm going to drag that down and copy that. I'm just gonna select around here. Oops. And invert that selection and delete its black. I'm gonna come in with the dodge tool and just dodge those highlights a little. I'll do the same thing with the burn tool and just kind of burn out everything else. Might need to go do some manual adjustments later, but that'll work for now. Just selecting it, hold Control, click thumbnail. Let's come back over. We're gonna make a new layer and we're gonna fill that selection with whites. Drag that up over our curves layer. All right, so now we're gonna go back to that darken curves. We're gonna invert that mask and we're gonna mask out over the surface of the eye. So I'm just gonna, I think I'm gonna just use a brush actually. And I'm keeping the brush soft too, just so we don't have this super hard edge, because there is, you know, this little bit of interactivity between, you know, how the light is coming off the surface of the eye, how it's being reflected and hitting the edges of the eyelid. So I feel like a soft brush kind of emulates that pretty well.
So creepy.
I like what I like, okay? I want to be scary. I don't want to be cute. And that comes through in the pictures.
That is so cool. It's crazy how just blackening the eyes immediately makes this, I mean, obviously her face too, but like it's just such a huge transformation.
Yeah. And I want it to feel like humanoid, but definitely not human. So like when we were moving the parts of the face around, I definitely lengthened the face. I pulled the eyes higher than they usually would be on a human, the mouth a little bit lower. It just feels like we're entering that uncanny valley. And if we saw this person on the street, we would be mildly concerned.
Yeah.
I think I want to add a little bit more detail in there because like we went totally black. Like, no, not into that. It needs more shape. But I'm gonna have another new blank layer and we're gonna manually paint some stuff.
Do you think you could do as much as you did with the Liquify tool with just a photo? Like if she wasn't a 3D model and she didn't have any weird contortion to her face, you could do exactly what you did here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Like in general, that would honestly probably be my preference. But you know, that requires interacting with other human beings. I actually did a creature creation tutorial for a Halloween series on that, and I used a self-portrait, and like I mean I have a studio, so I'm spoiled that way, but I mean literally just any kind of photo will work exactly the same.
That is sweet. I'm gonna turn myself into a monster.
Yes, I highly recommend it. Be your
cool.
true self, Anna. All right, so I just added on some iris details here, and I'm just gonna copy that mask from the darkening layer over here, just so it's fully masked in there. I think I'm gonna warp this one a little bit because her face is at such an angle, right? So we're getting this kind of distortion of the surface of the eye. Warp. Okay, we'll do the same thing over here, just a tiny bit. So now we got a little bit of texture going on there. So I'm debating, should she have eyebrows if she's a frog?
Maybe they're just like just her skin as a shape of eyebrows.
Just her skin in the, well, I want to keep the shape, yeah, but I don't know what because she has hair, but all right, let's get rid of the eyebrows. All right, so new layer, and we're gonna clone stamp over them. Looks actually, well, we'll set this one to light and then we'll see how I like it. Because those eyebrows are a lot darker, so. Why is nothing happening? I broke Photoshop.
I think because you're on current and below.
Am I?
Yeah, instead of all layers.
That should be. All right, let's find out.
What the heck?
Oh no, it's broken. Why? Oh no. All right, should I restart it?
Yeah, is it like fully having a meltdown?
No tools are working at all.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, well, lasso tool works, but none of the brushes are working at all. That's weird. Okay, well, I'm just gonna close it.
Restart.
Thanks for coming. Bye. Don't save. I noticed on the stream yesterday too, at the end, And I thought it was odd because you asked me if I was using the water brush on something, and I wasn't. And when I went and looked at the stream, it had like locked.
Yeah. Yeah, it
the
was
brush there for everything.
Yeah, not for everything, but towards the end of the stream, it had the shape of the water brush, even though you weren't painting with that. Like I could see that it was changing, but when you were doing the effect to make it look like it was painted, it was still showing the water brush.
Yeah, instead of the actual tool.
Yeah.
So weird.
It was so weird. So I was like, huh, is that what she's using? Then realized it was just stuck.
All right, we're back. Technical difficulties. All right, let's try this again.
There we go.
I don't know if anyone else lives this life, but you like spend more time tech supporting yourself than actually making art.
100%. And usually it's a hard shutdown of Photoshop and then we're back in business again. But sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? And I think of people who are just learning Photoshop for the first time and just you continue to be like, what is this? And then you realize that you have something lassoed and selected, and that's why you can't do anything. That's usually my issue. But I wouldn't know that if I was just a very new beginner.
The random hotkeys get me all the time. Like I'll accidentally hit, I think it's F for full screen, and I can never remember what it is. And I'm like, oh no, no, how do I get back?
Yeah, or you like lose your toolbar or something.
Silly technology.
Yeah.
All right, so we're pretty eyebrowless here. Up this edge a little tiny bit. And we're gonna go and we're gonna actually kind of do some 2D sculpting on the face, which is like my favorite thing to do. Brows. Okay. It's under the eye thing. Are we ready to get weird?
Yeah.
All right, let's get weird. So, I lost my mood board, but that's okay. But so if we look at some of these frog pictures again, I really like these weird, funky kind of ridges. Like on this guy especially, like, look at that. That's so weird. We're gonna do that. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna start with like a regular, we'll start with a soft brush. And just for demonstration purposes, we're just gonna start kind of here. We're going to come back and refine this though, and go to our layer properties. And this is probably like my most used and abused kind of set of tools on characters is the layer properties, or the layer styles rather. So the first thing I want to do is I want to turn down the fill opacity, because that's not going to affect the entire opacity of the layer. Like if you were up here on your layers palette, you have these two options. This is only affecting the pixels that are currently on the layer. And I'm also going to turn on layer mask hides all effects, because when you use layer effects, usually if you have a mask, it's going to just create a new edge line where you mask off, but we want this to hide everything. And we're going to turn on this bevel and emboss. And we're going to start just kind of messing with this. And since that fill is turned all the way down, it's going to create a kind of instantaneous effect of drawing form onto the face. Let's set this to soft light so you can set the blending modes for your highlights and your shadows here. And this is definitely something that doesn't have like a, this is the way, it's completely dependent on the image and the shapes you've drawn, but let's start about there. And I want to make sure that the angle of the light is also lining up with the angle of this light in the image. I'm just clearing everything I drew, so now we can go in and kind of start faking that that sculpting effect.
Whoa.
Yeah, a different brush.
Wow. I'm gonna have to rewatch that later and figure out, try it out on my own. That's so cool.
It is, again, favorite abuse of Photoshop power for myself. Yeah, so let me just, for again, demonstration. So here where I'm going, pushing more pressure, so higher opacity. So we got this big kind of bump right here. And now if we had a mask, since we selected that the layer mask is going to hide stuff, we can mask off everything without affecting how that layer style is working.
That is crazy.
I'm gonna bring that back real quick. I'm just gonna erase it actually instead of using the mask, so I can go in and fix it a little bit more. And I don't know if I want to add any like scars to this character today, but I use the same concept for doing things like scars and wounds all the time. Just because it adds that extra interest to a face. I mean, when we're building a character, we really want to think of everything we can include in a simple 2D portrait that's going to inform our audience about who they are and where they've been and what they do and why they do it. Look back at that frog. Got some more stuff coming up the side of the face too, so let's go add some of that, I think. And Daryl, that's right, for muscle and veins, I'll do that same thing. Muscle, veins, anything under the skin that needs that shape, because you can, go in and you can just paint your highlights and, create form in the traditional illustrative way. But I like cheat codes, so that's what we're going to do today.
Man, it looks so real. It's crazy.
I should be charging everyone like $400 for this tutorial right now. Now they know.
I know, revealing the secrets, right? I did that once on Adobe Live. I showed how I do my glow, and I had a glow course, and then no one bought my glow course after that. I was like, wow, that was so dumb of me.
Do you have like a way of like prioritizing what you're willing to share and what you're not willing to share?
I used to, but now I'm kind of like, whatever. I don't care anymore. Like I am an open book with sharing stuff at this point, because I think if someone still wants to pay me to learn from me and get like a in-depth class, then they will. And yeah, I like when people have free stuff available, and then if I want to dive in deeper to learn from them, I will take advantage of that because I already know they're a good teacher.
Totally. That makes a lot of sense.
Plus, we're in the age of no gatekeeping right now, right?
I think about it too, like, I mean, like, where would any of us really be without like all the resources that have existed? Things like YouTube or like streams like this. Like,
absolutely.
I'm so grateful for like every artist who was willing to share stuff.
I know, me too. And I mean, it just raises us all together. What is it? All tides, or tides rise all boats, or whatever.
Yeah.
And
the
it's
rising
so
tide
true.
raises all ships. Yeah.
Yes. It's so true. Like, if we can all continue to help each other and not hide things and give away information for free, it's only going to continue to bring up the general art knowledge as a whole.
Totally. I think there's like definitely like a fear of like, oh no, someone's gonna do what I did, and then I'm not unique anymore. But so I saw this was like a meme on Facebook, but it was like, there is no point in which your art is going to cease to be your art.
Yeah.
It is never going to be anyone else's, no matter what you do.
Exactly. That's something that I think many of us have to get around. And it's a struggle that I think a lot of us deal with too. And I've dealt with that. And I'm like, well, if I teach people or show people what I do and show behind the scenes, then someone's going to copy me and I'm not going to be the only artist doing this anymore. But I still have my own unique vision and view on things. And I'm the only person who can do that. And you're the only person who has this unique view on this. And all of you watching, you're the only one who can make the art that you create, no matter what.
100%. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Couple questions for you coming in here. Let's see. Brandon is wondering if you have any recommendations for graphic cards or amount of RAM.
Save every penny. And I'm like, honestly, like, I'm so not hardware savvy. I absolutely have to like go cry to my husband and be like, help me, I don't know how to use a computer.
Same.
It's definitely like, I should know stuff. My computer, what is in my computer? I mean, it's pretty beastly. I'd have to pull up my like settings to like tell everything. I think I've got like a 3090 graphics card in there, and I think I've got like 128 gigs of RAM, which is completely excessive, but I also do a lot of like really intensive 3D work, so it's necessary for what I do. For something like this, you could do this on, you know, whatever, like your laptop. Like it's not super intensive. Like I have a like pretty cheap like gaming laptop. I think it's an Acer Nitro, and I use it for 3D in Photoshop and it works fine. I don't remember the specs of what's in it, but make use of what you have. And if you can't do 3D, then just take some photos and use that as your base. All right, so
100%.
I think we'll leave that for now. And let's start doing some compositing, shall we?
Yes.
So I like these cute little green tree frogs. They are so cute. And I'm gonna rip off their faces. Not this guy. Yeah. I'm just gonna select some of this texture here. Copy that over. Ridges. And now we're going to do some warping, and let's make this a smart object so I can make changes later. And we're going to try to kind of warp this over the face, and we're probably going to have to do a bunch of different pieces and kind of Frankenstein them all together. But let's swap this over to soft light. I'm just trying to kind of line them up, sort of, and then we'll go in and do our warping. And I'm just gonna hit Control while I click here to drop some pins in my warp tool. Whoa, I did too many. There we go.
Wow.
Try to line up that nose a little bit.
So cool.
Let's see if I can kind of get this like dark spot here to kind of line up with that ridge on the face a little. See how much this warp will cooperate with me. Okay. How do we feel about that line right under the nose?
I think maybe it needs to, yeah, come up like that. That's better.
You're hired. I'm live streaming with me every day when I work.
Sounds good. You'll have to help me out too, though.
We can trade.
Yes. I'm thinking about a whole new composition now after yesterday's stream. I'm working on like a giant mushroom forest, and I just cannot get it to look right. It has been driving me crazy. I think I just like went about it in the wrong way. I set things up in the wrong direction. And so now after yesterday, I'm like kind of rethinking for one, the aspect ratio, but then also kind of the way you had your perspective.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I might have to get your opinion on that.
We can be friends. We can chat.
Sounds good.
That's definitely something to, like, I'll try to like force myself to do, because it's like easy to get locked into our habits, right? And like I'll definitely sometimes be like, I'm gonna shoot something, or not shoot something, but I'm gonna make something that's looks like it's shot like top down or worm's eye view or something, just to force myself to kind of think differently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good because sometimes we box ourselves in without realizing it. And I know I've done that. And I have realized that I've been making very like flat things without a lot of depth to them. And so I'm trying to force myself into really seeing far in the distance in my composites versus just like a flat plane.
Awesome. I'm excited to see it when you finish.
It's so hard. It might be a while. We'll see.
I mean, and that's kind of the thing, like when you're experimenting, like no one has to actually see it. Like it can just live on your computer forever.
Exactly.
I definitely have a graveyard of like half-finished, half-baked ideas.
Yep.
And sometimes I'll go back and I'll finish them and share them, or sometimes, you know, it's just the art of study, right? Like that's something, again, like looking into different mediums, like painters, you know, go and do a study, right? And, you know, it's for the sake of understanding how things work and how to emulate those things through paint. And I don't feel like, especially photographers, like we don't always have the same kind of classical art school kind of introduction to things.
Right.
And it's definitely worth doing. Like not everyone has to know, not everyone has to see. Like sometimes you just got to practice. Not for the likes.
That is so true.
I'm gonna darken this up a little bit just to see. And I don't like the color here. I don't like this saturation at all. Whoa, break everything. Yeah, so we just pull that saturation like way down. We're still getting the color of the skin through there a little bit. And I don't know how well this 3D model is really emulating the like diversity of color in a human face. In a photograph, you definitely have a lot more color range, I think. And that can be one of those things that's really hard to get right when you're faking it later. All right, so let's grab some more frog. You know, we'll stay with the same one. So I'm just gonna keep kind of doing this in chunks. Smart object again, so I can terrorize it.
It's so cool how the patterns are like really lining up with the bone structure now too.
Yeah. And especially with creatures, right? Like you want to consider all of those kind of little anatomical pieces. Like what purpose do they serve? So if she has these weird ridges in her face, you know, maybe that would be echoed in the color of the skin. And I think I actually I want to retexture that cheek. It's just, no, Too distorted.
David said, I've been watching and needed to actually log on to give you flowers. This is so cool.
Oh, thank you, David.
So how long do these usually take you?
Forever. Just kidding. It really kind of depends. And that's why kind of today I wanted to just not go in with like a set, like this is what exactly I'm going to do kind of plan. Like I know more or less what I want it to look like, but I don't want to, what's the word I want? Like kind of, I don't know, systematize it, I guess.
Right. And are you usually, like, if you weren't live and just working on your own, would you be able to bust something like this out in one day, or do you kind of tend to come back over a few days?
I mean, it depends. It depends too. Like for personal work, oh my God, forever. Or just like never gets done.
Yeah.
You know, if it's for a client, it really depends on the timeline. And what my own kind of creative process sort of looks like a lot of the time is I'll like stare blankly at my screen and wonder what I'm doing with my life for a long time. And then suddenly like it's like I see it, like I fully get it, and it comes together really, really fast. You know, whether that's, you know, 20 minutes or just, you know, maybe an hour or two, like pretty quick. And then I'll take another couple of hours, just kind of sit with it and like finesse and kind of fine tune what I want it to be and, you know, polish it up.
Cool. And are you sketching your ideas out first or kind of just putting them down?
Not really. I don't really sketch. I do. I mean, when I'm working in 3D, I kind of consider that almost like a form of sketching. We kind of talked about that in yesterday's stream about using it as like a 3-dimensional value sketch. And that's kind of an approach that works for me so I can quickly move things around. There's a term, you know, like when you like go and like take the SAT and they do like those like visual parts of the process. What is that called?
I'm not sure. Like the visual learning stuff, or
I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember the term, but it's like I feel like I see things really, really super vividly in my head, and so I don't necessarily need to put them down on paper. And especially for like a lot of the like actual work that I do, the end product essentially is a very complicated sketch. You know, it's communicating an idea.
So true. That's a really good point.
I'm gonna mess with these curves a little bit and see if I can change how this feels on this side of the face. Nope, not that one there. A lot of this back and forth. I mean, I'd hope everyone watching makes art probably suffers the same way and tortures themselves the same way.
Yes.
Okay. What I'll do for now. Here.
Do you ever have it where you finish a piece or you spend like all day working on something for personal work, and then you come back the next day and you're like, this is totally wrong, and you have to like tear the whole thing apart again or just start over? And it's like, why am I doing this? Why do I do this with my life?
Compulsive need.
Yep.
Worst kind of addiction. Can't stop. All right, and I think just add a little bit more right here, and then we'll probably kind of move on to the body. We've got some weird edges over there. Be gone. Oops. What have I done? Oh, I kind of like that coming up from the mouth. Let's run with that. We could be using Liquify for this too also, the more I think about it, but I don't think it's necessary. Because there's a cool option in the Liquify tool that lets you kind of pull up your background layers, and you can kind of choose how opaque they are or not. So it makes like shaping things over other things pretty easy.
When you're making work just for yourself, are you usually spending this amount of time on the characters that may be small in the scene, like to kind of just show that off for your portfolio too?
It depends on the scene. Like I absolutely am guilty of kind of like the classic like silhouette hero shot just to like put a person vaguely somewhere.
Yeah.
Like I really love a nice up close portrait. So the way I want to approach like today, like I want this to be able to just kind of stand on its own. That's why I want to go into this detail, but then I'm still like, I want it in that larger scene that we created yesterday. So if we have time, I'll go do that and show you guys how. If not, I'll wrap it up and share it after the stream.
I'm super excited to see the final image and see how it all turns out together.
Hope it's cool.
I'm sure it will be. I have no doubt in you.
So we still got some kind of funky spots going on here. So let's try. Like that. That on the chin. Okay. See my unorganized layer chaos right now. So many. So I'm just masking really with the kind of standard soft fluffy brush. But this would also be like a really good chance to use some texture. So let's look at these. Oh yes. So I'm just going over the mask now with this bubble brush from that I can't remember the gentleman's name. Kyle Webster, the brush master, yes. From his concept art pack. These brushes are great. So this is it's kind of echoing those like little dots in the skin anyway. Cool.
Yeah, Kyle is awesome and makes tons of really great brushes. And he has a stream right before this. So
really?
You can always catch that replay.
So I should go fangirl is what you're saying.
Yes. We all love Kyle.
If Kyle sees this, I love your brushes. Thank you. Cool. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, his I think it's like the mega pack one that has like a bunch of different drawing brushes that like mimic like pencils and stuff. Also super awesome. Let's just wrap this up real quick. Let's maybe actually sample from this leg and see how that looks. I will say when you're pulling textures like this to use the soft light layer, it's still like either pick stock or shoot stuff that's already really flat, like the lighting's really flat, Or try to make sure your lighting kind of lines up. So it can be really weird when soft light is kind of translating these highlights and shadows onto areas that don't match.
David was wondering how you're rotating the brush without going to the panel.
I don't believe I was. Tell me what you mean, David.
I think. Let's see. Were you?
I was not. I will definitely.
Oh yeah, you're going into the panel. Yeah,
but
so
I wasn't rotating this brush. So this brush has a scatter effect on it in your brush settings. So it scatters, and over here in the shape dynamics, it changes the angle of the brush on its own. So every time you put the brush down, it changes the angle and the size and where it lands a little bit.
Yeah, and David, you can set that on any brush that you want if it doesn't have that.
Yeah, that doesn't need that darkness so much. Better. Oh, Sam coming through with the link to the brushes. Everyone go download them. God, I totally realized watching the stream yesterday that I edit with my mouth open, and it is the most embarrassing, hilarious thing I've ever seen. I didn't know that. I've never watched.
Oh my God, I definitely do that too. And at least you're just a little picture in the bottom corner.
Yes. So, dear everyone, please go look at my drooly edit face as I sit here salivating over Photoshop. Right.
I can see it over here. I have like a short delay and I can see your mouth open.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'm going to be like, okay, Bekka, close your mouth.
No, I don't want to.
It's better than editing with your tongue out. I'm sure I've done that because it's like your thinking face, like,
I don't know if I've done that one. That might be the Anna special.
Maybe.
Over there. All right, so I think we're at let's start there. And I'll probably come up and clean these edges and see where we go with the hair, but.
Yeah, Mike just said my tongue sticks out. Okay, I am not alone.
You're not alone at all. I think we can add that to our Photoshop play idea.
Yeah.
And just have like a variation of everyone's embarrassing editing face.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so good.
All right, so I've got another frog up here, and we're gonna start working on the body a little bit. I'm just gonna use the object selection tool to start. Not so sure about that, but it's getting somewhere. Gonna come clean this up on a mask with the pen tool. Really just want to grab this foot. And I'm gonna grab this whole layer, mask included, and drag it over here. And I'm gonna duplicate that just so I have a backup, and smart object that bad boy. Let's start putting some body parts together. So again, just using those like horribly mutated liquefied feet as a guide. We're going to cover them up completely Just kind of angling with the distort tool just a little bit. So I did drag over this rock. So this is from the full image yesterday. So I just grabbed the whole group and dragged it over here just to kind of use as a placeholder too, to kind of see how she'll be standing and perched here. And I'm going to use some of this texture from this frog's leg to kind of just cover up this edge a little bit. Let's make a new layer. We're going to clip it down to that foot. Clone stamp. And we're just going to set that whole layer mode to darken. Just brush this on a little bit, I think, to cover those highlights. Let's turn that off so you can see. Gonna need to do something about that, but we'll get there. Group this all. And I am just gonna mask off that opposing leg. So I think what I'm going to do here is just kind of start just generally placing these body parts. Close this one, and then we'll start blending them together afterwards. So this leg is already nicely folded, and I think it will do okay. And since we have that whole layer over here anyway, just another copy. Only the great struggle of dealing with depth of field when stealing textures off stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing some, we're going to need to just kind of do a lot of copying of the sharp texture and covering up the not so sharp texture. It's kind of creepy how similar our bone structure actually is. Like, it's almost a human leg with really long toes.
So weird. So weird.
And I'm going to select this leg, still just using that object selection tool, just to kind of get a mask here. Yeah, I'm going to put that over that whole group. Turn that back on. There we go. This is I'm trying to line up that kind of calf section here. Okay. And I wonder if I can even use that same leg for the upper part of the leg. Yeah, I think we can do that. I'm just gonna warp this bad boy a little bit. I'm trying to line up those shadows as much as I can.
I can't believe how well that matches.
It's working. It's working. All right. So this is the thigh. And that's got to come in front. So start masking away. That was easy. All right. And I do want to kind of cover up these highlights too, because that's not where our light's coming from. Another new layer, cover up, darken, and just sample some of that texture. Oh, that's the wrong tool. Why? I feel like Photoshop's angry at me.
It's like, why are you turning this human into a frog? What are you doing?
Stop playing God, Bekka. Okay. Maybe the foot actually will come above. All right, let's see what we can do about this weird out of focus stuff. Thank you, Carol. I have not saved recently.
Thank you, Carol. You're the best.
I think I do have autosave turned on though, because that's a sin that I'm guilty of.
Yeah, same.
All right, so I think what I'm gonna try to use that knee here and see if we can kind of turn that into an ankle. Self-consciously closing my mouth now. Oh, you know what? Better than the knee. Let's use that. Okay. We'll select that kind of bend. Not a paw. What is it? Leg?
Arm.
But
I don't know.
My daughter gets really mad at me. Like if I were to refer to the cat's paws as hands. That really offends her.
They're not paws. Or they're not hands.
They're not. And she just can't believe how stupid her mother is to say things like
that. That's so cute.
Oh, I have made my mistake again, in which I can't warp smart object. So fine. Be that way, Photoshop. We're gonna rasterize that. If I can remember where it is. Apply that layer mask. And now we can warp. I think that's good enough. It's in the background, it's in shadow, it's fine. And mask away. So. Whoa. Just pulling that selection around the leg again and just using it. And shape things here. Swapping to a hard brush for those hard edges. This is maybe a little smoother than I would like in general. So I'll come back with the clone stamp and kind of add a little bit of texture there too. So this is our whole leg. And we are going to need to do some shading and stuff, but we'll get there and just try some of those texture brushes. So more bumps. And let's keep using that bubble brush because I feel like that looks like frog warts, kind of. And aha, okay, so it swapped me back to the actual brush tool. So how I'm gonna get around that, come back to my clone stamp. I think it is Alt. Nope, it is Control. So that'll override the brush settings a little bit. Oh my gosh. It's doing it again.
Is it? Oh, it's keeping.
I'm a professional, I swear. I know how to use these tools. All right, let's try a different one then. Let's go down. Yeah. That usually works because I end up doing that a lot because I like using custom brushes for the clone stamp, specifically for things like this. Let's try this one, see if it works. Nope. We're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. Handy dandy. Chalk brush is not working either. You know what? We're gonna come back to this later because ain't nobody got time for that. All right. So we're gonna repeat this whole process now for the other leg. So I think honestly we can just duplicate that and start moving those pieces around. Let's start with the foot because I know this foot's going to give me problems already. So depending on the image, like the base image we were working with, we may be able to just flip that horizontally, and that is not going to work based on the angle of the foot and the angle of the pose. So I think I'm just going to kind of keep warping this a little bit. And maybe we'll change the length on the toes and stuff a little.
You must have really good patience with doing all of this.
Girl, I got 3 kids. My patience knows no bounds. Endless.
Oh, bravo.
So we're swapping over just to the warp tool. Got some more pins in there. Let's see what we can do about these weird toes. Because I would like to avoid going in toe by toe if I can. You know what? I don't hate it. All right, we'll leave it. We'll come back. We'll adjust if we need to. Okay, let's kind of look at that angle. Something. So yeah, Carol, so the reason I didn't flop it is just because of the particular angle it's at. That would have been my first choice. So I think I'm gonna just kind of play with the light on it a little bit so it looks less weird. But I want to get all these pieces in place first. Okay, so we can start with our thigh. Delete that mask there. Okay. And if we come down to our original body layer, we kind of select some of that. I did put clothes on this 3D model just for you guys to look at the creepiness that is a naked 3D person. So it's not quite lining up. We're going to warp a little bit more. But I would generally prefer to work on a nude model, whether that is an actual human or a 3D approximation of a human. It just, when replacing skin, you know, having skin to actually replace helps a lot.
That makes sense.
So another reason to take up self-portraiture if you want to start making weird stuff, so you can take awkward naked selfies.
And then someone's like, what are these for?
Big brother watching, just, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Why do you have 500 pictures of yourself in weird poses all over your phone?
Just a phase, Mom.
Yeah. I'm making art, okay?
God, I feel so lucky. So both my parents are professional artists, and
oh wow.
Yeah, so like the weirdness level is pretty high. So things like 500 photos in weird poses.
That would be normal.
Be pretty normal, yeah.
That's so cool though. What kind of artists are they?
So my mom's kind of like a general sort of artistic person. She's a fantastic singer. She acts, she draws, she paints, she plays music. Music, I think, is probably like her number one love. But kind of everything. Like she does some digital art stuff. Like when I was real little, like she taught like a digital art class, and I used to, like, at a summer school, and I had to go with her and learn like old 90s Photoshop.
Wow.
Yeah. So kind of a lot of everything. And then my dad also does like a lot of random stuff. He was in movie business for a long time. He was kind of like forefront of computer graphics and film era.
Man, that is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely didn't think it was as cool as I think it is now, like when I was younger.
Right.
In hindsight, I'm like, nah, should have taken more advantage. Like I remember the first time I ever looked at a 3D program, my dad was like going to teach me how to use Maya, and this was probably,
oh my
like
God,
2001 or something. And Maya's intense,
yeah,
and it's like very old school kind of program. And I like, similar to when I eventually opened Blender, was just like, no, what?
Yeah.
Like I've never been so intimidated by a 3D sphere in my life.
Yeah.
So I was late to the party.
That's so awesome though. That definitely shows in kind of the things you're interested in and the way you make art. Like really knowing that about you now is super cool.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I know, like I've definitely seen a lot of friends and other people I know, like who's, you know, their family, their parents, partners, whoever, like they don't get it.
I can't imagine.
I mean, is your family, you know, understanding and supportive of your artistic pursuits?
Absolutely. Yeah. So my husband is a photographer and videographer. People may know him from the streams. He does video streams. And then, my parents are both environmentalists and very into preserving the earth. And so they're kind of artsy scientists in their own way. And
awesome.
And then my grandfather was a children's book illustrator. So I have the pairing of art and science in my family.
Yes.
And so that comes out a lot in my work too, through like all the nature themes and animals and glowy things and like earth being a huge theme throughout my work. So
I love it. Oh, that's so wonderful to hear.
Yeah.
More weird art people in the world.
Yes. Oh, 100%. And it makes my life way easier, like to have the main people in my life be so supportive and understand and like have never once questioned, what is this life path that you're going on. So yeah, very, very lucky as well.
I love that. Just grabbing more of that angle here. Do, 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 do. Someday, 5 years from now, this creature will be done. I think that covers enough. Let's mask. Back to that bubble brush. I am loving this brush for this right now.
Yeah, that brush is so perfect. I'm gonna have to try that.
And just like figuring out like random shapes that aren't actually things work really well. All right. Save.
I can't believe how well it like perfectly matches. Crazy.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Frog butt. What is going to be the frog butt? Let's just take more of this leg. I think. Oh, actually, let's look at my stock. This frog is such a good model.
Yeah, it really is.
He like really knows his angles.
It's like, I'll look up, I'll look sideways. Here you go. And I guess it's real. It looks real, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it just looks like someone had a frog on a piece of paper. Very photogenic frog.
Well trained.
Can you train amphibians? Is that a thing?
I definitely do not think so.
Just kind of guesstimating there. This is going to go under our legs. Just grab that shape. So this effect, this is new since I most recently updated Photoshop. This like instant click thing. Kind of cool. Okay. Honestly, that works. Once we bring in some shadow, I think that'll be fine. All right, one creepy looking unshaded bottom half of a frog. All right, so for the top half, I don't know if I want to need to texture the whole thing because I want to get her dressed. And after on the stream yesterday, we talked a little bit about AI and kind of thought we could maybe play with that a little bit.
That would be sick.
Yeah, so I made a bunch of random things, but let's get a hand on there real quick, and then we'll see what we can do about putting some clothes on our frog lady. And the other thing I wanted to include here, where is it? I've lost my file. Oh, here it is, of course. So this is a random ball, gold ball, that I rendered out of Blender. Just real simple. Just again, tapping back into that original fairy tale, right? Like she has this precious golden ball here. And it's lit just kind of simply, just to kind of match the forest we're going to end up in. So I just want to drop this in here, and then we'll put the frog hands over that. Oh my gosh. think this one. This will be the one. Okay, same thing. Let's select that. And drag this bad boy all over here. Get that again. Let's apply that mask. So I already know that I don't really like these fingers. Are they fingers on a frog? They are now.
I should know that. My parents would be like, I am appalled that you don't know.
There's the disappointment. It's not the art. It's the not knowing
exactly.
about frogs.
It's not knowing about the correct nature things. I'm learning plants right now. I can't do it all.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
If you start farming frogs, though, then you'll need to know.
Yes.
Okay. This is, I'm going to try the puppet warp tool, which can be a little odd sometimes, but I think it's going to give us the best effect. And I'm just hitting Alt just to kind of rotate around the points here. This one's doing something strange. Okay. Those maybe fingers, maybe not fingers, are huge. We're gonna shrink down a little more. Definitely creepy. You like it bigger or smaller, you think?
Maybe actually, I think bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. Let's do that.
Also, we can do the artist spotlight whenever you're feeling like you want to take a little break. Okay, cool. All right, everyone. So it is time for the artist spotlight, and Bekka will bring that up.
Will I? Yes, I will.
Amazing. So today we are showcasing Kate Woodman, and just at a quick glance, I mean, absolutely gorgeous. And you're more familiar with her, right? So maybe you can.
Yeah. So Kate is a spectacular photographer. I mean, I don't even need to say so. Just like, look, come on. And I think what's really remarkable about Kate's work is the way she approaches color, like particularly really highly saturated, unique, and interesting color. Like even in something more like kind of monochromatic, you know, analogous color palette like this, like it still has this like richness and this depth. You get these beautiful blues up here in these shadows. It's just like really spectacularly beautiful.
Wow. So good. I really want to look at like, I don't know if she shows any sort of behind the scenes, but I want to see how she shoots everything and then how she edits it. Like I'd love to get her on Adobe Live sometime too, because this is like, it's so cool. And the way the lighting and the way it's edited, it's so cinematic, but also dreamlike and looks fake and real at the same time. And like you're in a fever dream almost.
Totally. I would like to stay in a Kate Woodman fever dream.
Yeah.
Forever. Really just beautiful work, like really conceptual, interesting styles of storytelling. And she brings us also like really into like her commercial stuff too. Like it still manages to have the same like really cool vibe. And again, just beautiful color. And I think this, I don't know, Kate, correct me if you're watching this, but I think this is like the last open blockbuster that she covered.
Yeah, I think
it's this whole series.
The one in Bend, Oregon.
Yeah. So she's out here in Portland.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're like real friends, not just internet friends, but really just beautiful work. And she's been branching out into film and exploring motion and directing, and
wow,
so talented. Do I keep gushing?
Yeah.
Do I embarrass myself? Yeah, it's like Really, really talented. And as far as tutorials, she does have tutorial stuff out there if you want to see that behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I know she just put one out like pretty recently about essentially creating like low budget, like DIY style cinematic narrative photography, like, in your house, in your garage or whatever, but working within a freelancer budget where you don't have someone giving you thousands upon thousands of dollars.
Right.
So
And so
I haven't watched it, but
for a lot of her shoots, oh, I've seen the Coca-Cola one. That one was
yeah.
that's so good. For a lot of her shoots, do you know, is she doing big productions, or are some of these more low budget?
She's definitely a queen of DIY.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. They all
Yeah.
look like so highly produced.
Well, I mean, that's the skill. I mean, like a lot of this stuff, trying to think. I mean, I don't know the details of all her work, but like a lot of stuff, I think probably the set, like she shot in her home a lot and, worked on like redressing her house basically, to fit whatever style of photography. And she does do a lot of composite work too. I'm not sure. I think a lot of these are just studio stuff. But like this is a composite. Obviously composite. This was in her house.
Wow.
Composite, yeah. So just learning to
Very
use your
cool.
space creatively. I mean, even again, like I was talking about, like, what do you have? Do you need to rely on your software? Do you need to rely on your camera? Do you need to rely on other people? Like, what do you have available for you to make what you want to make? Like, there really are no limitations other than what you give yourself. And Kate's definitely a great example of that too. I mean, look at this, just so beautiful.
Ah, amazing. I love it all. So inspiring.
Kate the Great, we love you.
Amazing work, Kate. Cool. Well, and don't forget, you can always submit yourself or a friend in the Artist Spotlight tab over in the chat on Behance. And if you're thinking of anyone that might be good to showcase here on the show, send them our way.
Mm-hmm. I love finding out, like, too, like, the artists that people like. Just you don't always know, like, who's out there. Like, there's so many kind of unknown or quiet artists, or they just, don't have a very large public presence, and then it takes being introduced to someone else or like by someone else to get there.
Yeah.
So I want to hear everyone's faves for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So I know we're coming up on our time pretty soon, but we're going to continue that same process up here to the arm. But so let's take a look at the clothes real quick before we even see if we need to do that. So I made some weird AI stuff in Disco Diffusion. And I know there's a lot of conflicting and strong opinions about the use of AI and how that's going to impact art, particularly digital art. But I have been dabbling in various kinds of AI for a while, and I have been using stuff like textures like this in my own artwork. And I don't feel like, it's cheating or anything. It's no different than using stock photos or pre-made 3D models or anything. If anything, it's almost more unique because it's a single thing that is generated based on your input. So let's go ahead and open this up. And I actually want to blow this up first because these are not very large files. It is a PNG. So I'm using Adobe Bridge right here, and we're going to custom export, convert that to a PNG, close. Now we've got a JPEG, and I'm gonna right click on it. We're gonna open it Camera Raw before we go to Photoshop. And hack of the day, we're gonna right click on this image in Camera Raw and come down to Enhance. Click on Super Resolution, and that is gonna double our resolution of our image. And it is awesome. Okay. Now we're gonna bring that over here. So I kind of like narratively wanted to feel like this princess was either like running away from her golden castle or on some sort of adventure out in the more and more dark and dismal part of that magical fairy tale forest. So I've been kind of envisioning her a cloak of some sort. So that was the prompt that I gave to the AI program. It was a cloak made out of leaves. And this one came out pretty cool, I think. You know, it's not actually like a hyper realistic thing. Like it's actually nothing. There's nothing actually real here or even necessarily recognizable, but there's that implication of fabric, that implication of shape and movement and leaf. So I like that a lot. And I'm just gonna kind of select this out and let's see. Doesn't want to select that part for me. It's okay. Manually. And we've got some shape going on here. Oh no, Kate's here listening to me. Be a fangirl. But definitely what I'm kind of seeing out of this kind of abstract shape here is I feel like this is almost like a cowl, right? So let's try to keep that kind of around the neck, I think is what I want to do here. And then we'll take the rest of this more flowing kind of shape and we'll put that in the back. So let's duplicate that layer. And we'll just select that part. And invert that selection and delete the rest. So now we have our cowl and then our whole thing. I'm gonna start shaping this here. Non-froggable token.
I saw that.
I feel like it's like there's got to be like a mushroom joke in there. Like
definitely. Yeah.
Someone more awake than me, please give me the pun.
We'll let the chat handle that one.
Don't let me down, chat. I have high expectations.
Yeah, really cool idea to use pieces of what the AI generated, and like I like how you're breaking it up.
Yeah, I mean it's I don't really see it any different than any other kind of stock imagery, right? And
I think the biggest problem
yes.
is just when people are like posting stuff and being like, look at this art I made. It's like, no, you can tell that that's not human made. And just like posting it like that or minting it as NFTs. It's like, come on, at least do something to it.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. What's been really cool for like to watch, not even necessarily to take part in, I think with images like this is like for people who don't have an artistic skill set, they can still like manage to like get an idea out of their head. Yes. And I feel like it's been very cool to just see people's creative ideas, and that like allows them to actually have an outlet for that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I think like there's nothing wrong with then sharing it and posting it, but just being honest about it and not like pretending that you made it or not saying anything at all. I think just like, oh, like hashtag AI generated or something, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, the tech itself, it's exciting. Like, why wouldn't you want to talk about it? I have another piece in here. So I have a crown that I wanted to put on her. I don't know if we're going to get there quite. But that was made using DALL-E and OpenAI. And in their terms of service, it's like you can use this for any commercial things or whatever, but you have to explicitly state this is how this was made.
And how can you, is it open access right now on that one or
DALL-E is they have a wait list.
Okay.
And it's I mean it's still in development, like constant development. So I was, how long have I been on that wait list? A while. Like a long time.
Okay. Yeah, I would love to get involved in that because I've seen some of the stuff that people have made from there and it's like crazy good.
It's totally nuts. It's just absolutely nuts. Like when I finally got access, like I didn't even know what to do with it. I was like, what now?
Yeah, it's
Like,
kind of like, oh, what do I type in? And like all the ideas that you've ever had in your head go out the window, and you're like,
right? Well, in that particular instance, like it's so hyper real, which is technologically amazing, but like the way that it, like the interest for me is in this abstraction, and so having something that like looks exactly like a photograph, it just doesn't have the same value to me,
yeah,
like personally. So I was just like stumped, like do I need creepy pictures of, you know, runway models that don't exist?
right.
I definitely torture my friends by sending them my creepy AI creations in the middle of the night. All right, cool. So now we've got some shape here.
That looks awesome.
All right. I just really wanted to get into the AI stuff a little bit, just because like after it got mentioned in the comments yesterday, and like I feel like there's almost this like hard line in people's opinions about it, and it doesn't have to be one way or the other. Like you can like using it one way and not another way.
Totally.
And I lost, what did I do with my, I just lost my layers. I'm losing my mind. Oh, there they are. Haha. See, this is why you organize your layers, so you don't have moments like this. And I definitely want to add some quick shadow to this. So we're going to use curves. We're going to clip this down actually to, yep, to that cape layer. Make it dark, dark, dark. I think I want to bring in, we'll get to the color afterwards. So the texture itself, it has all this white. I don't really know what the robot was imagining was white on these leaves, but it still has this kind of like nice sense of shape here. So I'm just going to kind of start painting away the shadows with the chalk brush. And I'm also going to use this brush for these like more kind of hard line areas, these like real defined sort of ridges. And then I think I'm going to go over just with the soft brush for a more gradual fade to the shadow. Not that thin.
Just so you know,
really intense. Oh, sorry.
Just so you know, we have about 7 minutes left.
Yep. The reality of making art, folks, takes forever. But I am going to go finish this. So if anyone is interested in how this continues to evolve, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I promise.
Yeah, I for sure want to see what it looks like. It's so cool to see it all coming together, and even like the cloak is just looking amazing already.
We're getting there. We're getting there. And anything else that I'm going to do this is really just going to be continuing these kind of like same basic is going to be what's going to continue after you guys kick me off. Let's do a little of that over here. I'm definitely going to need to kind of work on the light a little bit, because when we just use the basic curves here that, whoa, control everything, we're getting like some like kind of muddiness in the shadows in some of these places. That's like really not working. So we'll need to come in with some color later. And I actually, like in cases here, like with this chin, I might actually just come in with a kind of medium hardness brush. And maybe just manually paint that in and then kind of mask it off. Not quite that color. Wow, this is terrifyingly strange right now.
It's still so cool to see how it has come together and the amount of work. I mean, you look at these finished characters and you would never think how much goes into it. You would think that maybe this entire thing was designed in 3D or illustrated or something, and like doing it in Photoshop is so incredible, and you did such a good job. I know you didn't finish here, but I mean, like bringing these frog legs in, bringing the colors, the cape, the face, the texture, unbelievable.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad it was at least interesting, because I was very concerned about like how can I get the most out of doing a character in 2 hours, you know?
Yeah,
and I don't know. I thought about doing just the face, but that doesn't give you the full experience, right? Like especially with something magic like this. We need the full body to get the full story about what this person is and what they're doing and where they're going, and then incorporating that into that larger environment later.
yeah,
So
100%. And I think seeing you matching those legs so perfectly, that was really cool. And yeah, the feet, like, so awesome.
yay. Happy to share my strangeness with everyone.
Let us know in the chat if you all have any last questions for Bekka. We have like a couple minutes here, and then we're gonna head off into the world, and hopefully we'll get to see how you wrap this up at some point.
Yes. Is it kosher? I mean, if I just record it, is that like
Yes.
infringing on the coolness of the live stream?
No, you can record it, and then where would you share it? Like on Instagram or something? Or
Yeah, I can go put it on Instagram. I guess I can put it up on, can you put videos on Behance?
I think so.
I'll figure it out. Cool.
Cool.
So if anyone wants to kind of see how that goes, then we'll go do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Bekka. This has been an honor learning from you. And thank you for sharing everything with all of us. Hope you all enjoyed it. Those of you watching, thank you for being here with us. Again, don't forget that you can watch this at any point on Behance or YouTube as a replay, day 1 and day 2. Go back and watch what Bekka taught us, because there was a lot of good pieces in there. So be sure to tune into our new creative bootcamp with Weekend Creative, as they show you how to put the final finishing polish on your editorial photos. Use the power of Photoshop to clean up your images for maximum impact. Then following the boot camp, join Alex Lazaris for a second day of how to create futuristic branding at noon Pacific. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we will see you again soon. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.